want to talk about chords. Following on from the video yesterday about playing over changes and arpeggios and the four main arpeggio types. Well, it's very much the same for chords, to be honest. We also need to be able to play the four main chord types, which, funnily enough, are the same as the arpeggios. Major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, minor 7, flat 5. The reason why we need to know them, same thing as before. With those four chords, the four mother chords, everything else can come from them. They're always one note removed. Sometimes more, but the basic cell of the chord is there within one of those four chord types. In my opinion, the four most important chord types to be fluent with. Any tune you play will have either those directly in them or variants thereof. So to get right into it, basically, we all as guitar players, admittedly are a bit lazy when it comes to chords. If you learn the piano or whatever, you learn your inversions and all that stuff really early on, whereas I know guitar players who can sort of do all the bidextral tapping stuff, but they don't know, basic inversions of a C major chord. That's the truth. We're all a bit lazy when it comes to that stuff. But in harsh reality, we're rhythm guitar players 99% of the time. Even if you're in your own like trio, something like I am, and I get to do a lot of solos and stuff, I'm still playing rhythm considerably more than I have playing any lead stuff. So it might not seem as glamorous, but it's actually much more of a supportive role in the band. And seeing as it's what you're going to be doing most of the time, I think, we owe it to ourselves to at least be good at it, and we owe it to the people that we're accompanying, whether it's a singer, another member of the band, taking a solo, just keeping a groove going, and being able to have interesting harmonic choices, being able to voice lead, all that stuff can only further help your lead playing as well in your solo stuff. It's also nice to be able to sit down and work out arrangements of stuff, chord melodies, all that kind of thing. It's nice to be able to sit down and just play a tune, a bit like I did at the start of the clip. I was playing, that was Georgia on My Mind, for anybody that doesn't know, just the A section of that. Just a little chord melody thing with some of the voicings that we're going to have a look at now. Okay, so how do we organise these chords on the fretboard? Basically, there's lots of ways to do it. You see things like drop 2 chords, drop 4 chords, drop 3 chords, drop 2 4 chords, and all these different systems. I spent a lot of time learning those, and then I thought they were great, but I used to think they were a bit clunky, and I thought there's got to be a better way to consolidate this onto the guitar and map them out. And then maybe give it a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I went on a guitar residential thing for a few days. Luckily it was in the Lake District, so I didn't actually have to stay over, with Mike Walker, who's an incredible guitarist, educator from Manchester. Phenomenal musician. Check him out and check his teaching stuff out as well. There's some brilliant stuff on there. And Mike came up with a system called the chordal tapestry, which basically puts all this stuff together. It's really ingeniously clever because it's so simple. That's why it's so good. One of the big flaws with learning all the other systems was, you kind of, to find a voicing, you've got to kind of play 3 or 4 before you can get to it, whereas with this one, it seems a lot more immediate, and you'll see what I mean, because basically the way it works, I'm not going to go through the whole thing in depth. I'm just going to give you the idea, the concept, so that you can try it for yourself and come up with your own voicings. But the way it works is really, we start with a particular voicing and we just move the notes around in octaves until we find and come up with different voicings. I'll show you how it works. It's, like I said, it's much more sort of simple than it looks. Generally, we'll start with C major 7, and what this ends up giving you is about 27 different voicings for C major 7. Now you might think, why on earth do I need 27 voicings for C major 7? Well, you might not need them all, but it's nice to have them, and what you'll find is the more that you play them, that will definitely use them. There's a few in there that you think, when am I going to use that? Like there's one in the middle somewhere, that one. Remember when I first played that, I thought, well, I'm not going to use that. I use it all the time now. And it comes to a point when you can just grab them, But the ingenuity of this whole thing is really that we know the formulas for the chords. We've got major 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, dominant 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, minor 7, 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, minor 7, flat 5, 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7. With that in mind, we can take any one of these chord voicings, alter the notes, and we suddenly have a totally new chord type. So hopefully, if you're following along, we can have 27 major 7s, 27 minor 7s, 27 dominant 7, 27 minor 7, flat 5. That's going to be more than enough, at least, to get you started. And it isn't exhaustive either, there's more than that. But if you, say if I take this awkward one in the middle, I've probably picked the worst one to do this with, but basically, the way it works, we've got a major 7 here. In C, we're in C, E, G, B. There are our 4 intervals. So intervallically, this chord would look like a 3rd, a 7th, a 1st, and a 5th. So if I wanted a dominant 7, all I would need to do is flatten that 7th. The 7th's here, the B. So I flatten that down, and I get this. Let's see, dominant 7. If I want minor 7, I'll flatten the 3rd as well. If I want minor 7 flat 5, I'll flatten the 5th, and I'll get that. See where I'm going with it? You can do that for every single one of these. So that it kind of, like I said, it literally increases your chord vocabulary by, like, well, infinitely really, because you can do so much with it. You can do more than that with it as well. I mean, you could start with just a major 7 and say just flatten the 3rd, for example. Now I've got minor major 7, you know, your nice melodic minor sort of thing, you know, going on there. So if we start with a voicing lower down, like this one, C major 7, what I'll do is I'll quickly just play through a few. I won't go through them all in depth, but just so you can get the idea. So we've got this one here, which is 5, 1, 3, 7. Start with that one, for example. Then I could move the root up an octave, for example. So like I said, we're just moving notes in octaves. I get that one. That's a nice one to get the root note on the top of the chord. That's quite good if you're playing things like chord melodies. So like, and you need the root note on the top. So something like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, where the first note is the tonic, like. See what I mean? So we've got that one there. So that's now like 5, 3, 7, 1. I'll just fire through a few. So from there we could go 5th up 2 octaves. Get that one. Then we can move the root down an octave. Get that one. Move the 3rd up an octave and get that one. All the other notes stay the same. They don't move. So you can visualize them moving. You know, the 5th goes down an octave. You'll all recognize that one. Bog standard C major 7. 7th moves up an octave, and we get that one. Nice stretchy one. Root moves up an octave, we'll get that one. 7th moves down 2 octaves, nice dark one with the 7th in the bass, and so on. You can just keep going. You can go, you know, you can get all these different voices. Some of them are split voicings, makes them slightly harder to pick. And so on. You just keep going, you know. I'm just picking them at random, you know. You can work your way up, you know. And like I said, there's roughly about 27 in total, and that isn't even exhaustive either. There's more that you can get from that. But like I said, the way to do it is take any one of them, change the notes until you find the chord you want. If you want to be really super methodical with it, you can, like one of my students who I taught, he's that kind of guy, he's very methodical. He wrote it all out for the major 7s, altered one note, wrote it all out for the dominant 7s, altered another note, wrote it out. You can do that if you want. That's a real great way to do it. But even if all you take away from this is take 3 or 4 voicings you already know and just move the notes around in octaves and see how many voices you can milk it. You can get so much out of it. You know, that little Georgia on My Mind thing, that was just something I played. It took about, you know, a minute to work it out, just because these voicings become much easier to find once you get used to doing them. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Really, just hammer it, give it a try, as with everything. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. You know, there's no excuse for being a rubbish rhythm player and having poor chord knowledge, really. It's usually the thing that gets us hired or fired. You know, the old saying, you know, chops are for show, chords are for dough. That's actually surprisingly true. A lot of people want a nice sensitive accompanist over a sort of blazing lead player. Unfortunately, I know we all love to do that. There's absolutely nothing wrong being able to do both though. So yeah, give that a try. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys, thank you.